You ready, Bruce? My producer asks, moments before we go live. You bet, I say. But it's a lie. I'm not ready. Not after last week's fiasco. How could I be? I check my mirror for any faults in my makeup, suck in my gut, then walk out on stage to a live studio audience. Enter music. The announcer introduces me. I glance down at my monitor and cringe. The producers make me out to be that sleazy game show host from the days of old, polyester and all. The camera cuts to me and we're live. All right, I'm happy to be here. I hope you are too, I say, doing my best Bob Barker impression. Let's bring out this week's contestant, shall we? I'm looking at the camera, as if asking the folks at home. And then, cue the audience. Let's make a deal with the devil! This contestant takes to the podium. He's a paunchy, middle-aged man, and casually dressed, with broad shoulders and a generous chin. The camera follows him to the podium. Meanwhile, the audience is going berserk. Cut to me. All right, knock it off, I tell the audience playfully. They hush. Peter McNamara, tell us a little bit about yourself, why don't you? Cut to Peter, who's wiping his sweat-soaked forehead. Well, Bruce, back in high school, I was leading quarterback for the Mater D Monarchs, state champs 2 years running. These days, I mostly sell insurance. Divorced, no kids. Plus, saving the best for last, I'm a lifelong Chargers fan. The crowd cheers. All right, Peter, are you ready to make a deal with the devil? He was. Great. Then let's bring out Damion, shall we? Cue the creepy music. Damion appears out of nowhere and is standing next to Peter. Tell me, Peter, do you know the rules? I ask. Peter nods nervously, all the while glancing at the extremely tall man who appeared out of nowhere, and is now standing next to him wearing an outlandish devil suit. Great. So, Peter, tell Damion and the rest of us, what is it you most desire? Just remember, cue the audience. The devil's in the details. Peter is shaking like a leaf. His head looks like a well-polished bowling ball. Well, Bruce, I've given this a lot of thought. Cut to camera 3. What I really want is a big old house on the beach, and a big old swimming pool, and a car built like a tank. The crowd agrees. Right away, I see the problem. He didn't stick to the script. What's this built like a tank nonsense? Where did that come from? Before each show, I sit down with the contestant and tell them how this works. I tell them exactly what to say, when to say it, and, more important, what not to say. But the contestants always make a mistake. Every week. One that ultimately costs them their lives, much to the fervor of the audience. Cut to me. My pearly white teeth are plastered across the screen. All right then, let's ask the devil if he's willing to make a deal, shall we? Damion Carey is towering over Peter, grinning like a used car salesman. He looms larger than life, both on and off the screen. Audiences love him. He dresses in a skin-tight red leather suit, pointed red tail, pitchfork and devil horns. But don't let his ridiculous attire fool you. It's all a distraction. A close-up of Damion smiling devilishly into the camera.
Well. What do we have here?
Damion asks in his guttural voice.
Peter, isn't it? I don't know. You ask for so much, but then you must ask yourself, how badly do you want these things? Are you willing to give your soul?
Peter would. He really would.
excellent.
Damion sneers into the camera.
Just excellent.
Camera shows Peter shaking hands with the devil. I take a cautionary step backward, trying my darndest not to show fear. I don't want to end up like the previous host. Who would? I can't let that happen to me. Not while everyone is watching. Cut to me. Well, that's just fabulous. So, cue the audience. Let's make a deal with the devil. Camera zooms in on Peter, who is sweating profusely, palms drenched, open mouth smiling. Cut to me. That's great, but tell me, Satan, what's the catch? There's always a catch.
The catch is, Bruce.
He leers into the camera with his "don't tell me I didn't warn you" look.
The car will be big and it'll drive itself. Peter won't have to lift a finger. It'll be a smash.
Close up of Peter, who appears as happy as a pig in shit. I hate the next part. Damion snaps his long and crooked finger. Poof. Peter is gone. Vanished. The crowd is aghast. They think this is all TV trickery. As the camera cuts to Damion, who's licking his paws and somehow wagging his tail, I recall how the previous host died. I can't get that image out of my head. They're still trying to scrape his stains off the floor, right where I'm standing, no less. But hey, the ratings speak for themselves. Give the people what they want. Damion is doing his devil stick, and the audience is applauding him. Millions of viewers are watching, waiting for the inevitable carnage that will soon unfold. Meanwhile, the knots in my stomach are multiplying. My left leg is shaking, and I'm stone cold terrified. Cut to a beach house, where a group of partiers appear on the screen, showing off their California tans, sipping exotic drinks from colorful straws, while they lounge around a large swimming pool in skimpy outfits. Cut to Peter, who's got a drink in each hand and a shit-eating grin stamped across his face. Peter has become the embodiment of the American dream right before our eyes. The audience rages on. I shudder. My stomach fills with butterflies. I know it's coming. If I screw up this next part, I'll see my career in hell. Camera cuts to me. So, Peter, tell the audience at home, how does it feel to finally have your dream home on the beach? Cut to Peter. The girls in the background are whooping and hollering and splashing about. I'll tell you what, Bruce, he says, sipping his drink, enjoying the view. It feels great. What comes next will haunt me at night, when the lights are off and the cameras put away. Some things in life are impossible to forget, even for Hollywood heartless vampire types like myself. Cut to Damion, standing next to me, too close for comfort.
Well, Peter.
His voice sardonic and cruel.
I can see you like the swimming pool. You do like the swimming pool, don't you?
The screen shows Peter grinning from ear to ear.
Good, well then,
Damion says, licking his moist red lips.
Let's cut to the chase. It's time to bring out the new car.
Damion snaps his finger and a shiny new Hummer appears in the driveway. He's standing next to it, dangling a golden set of keys. I have no clue how he does this, or where those cameras come from. I'm not allowed to ask, which is fine by me. Some things are best unknown. Zoom in on Peter, who's running arms out to the driveway carrying his fruit-filled drinks. The audience oohs and ahs. Wide shot of Damion and Peter standing toe-to-toe in front of the Hummer. The Hummer glistens under the warm California sun.
You asked for a big car, am I right?
Damion asks in a bombastic voice. Yes, Damion, I did.
Well, is this one big enough?
Peter nods approvingly.
Excellent. So what do you say, Peter? Want to take her for a ride?
Peter does. Damion snaps his finger. Suddenly, he and Peter are inside the Hummer, seatbelts and all. Peter's drinks are nowhere to be seen. And people at home think this is studio trickery. It isn't. Which is one of the reasons why I'm scared to death. I don't know how I ever talked myself into this gig. Cut to dashcam inside vehicle. Damion is outwardly pleased. He leans into the camera.
Good. Because...
Cue the audience. The devil's in the details. They speed off. Peter's head thrusts back as they tear out of the driveway onto the busy beachside boulevard. Damion is smiling, stone-cold murder searing in his eyes. My hatred for this madman is only outmatched by my fear of him. It's a good thing the camera's off me, because I'm looking like I'm about to puke. Cut to the helicopter cam. The audience watches with glee as the murder spree plays out. First, the Hummer guns down a beautiful young woman on rollerblades, blindsiding her. Her body disappears as the perilous vehicle effortlessly runs her over. Blood splashes across its shiny chrome grille, as though biting into a strawberry full of razor blades. The audience is bloodthirsty. They want more, and they'll get it. Cut to dashboard cam. Peter looks worse than I feel. He's freaking out. Damion's devil-may-care grin is stretched across his long, reddened face.
You're gonna love this next part, Peter.
Multi-screen with dashcam and the helicam shows the Hummer veering left onto the sandy beach. One man's head gets crushed like a grape. His brains splatter across his finely chiseled chest. His left eyeball lost in the many crevices of the crimson sand, while his lifeless body lies flattened on his blood-soaked beach towel. Beside him, a figure rests in twisted ruins with tire tracks tattooed across his sun-kissed corpse. His arm dangles futilely from its socket, like a noose swaying in the breeze. The third victim is caught in the grille of the Hummer. It does a few backflips as the vehicle comes to a halt. Its body falls limply into the warm sand and stays there, blood and body parts and suntan lotion and all. Cut to me, doing my darndest to appear casual. Incredible stuff, Damion, I say, wearing my stapled-on smile. That was one heck of a bargain you got there, Peter. Does the audience agree with me or what? They do. Good. I hope each and every one of you at home agrees too. Cut to Damion, who's somehow back in the studio, standing at the podium next to me, twirling his long devil tail, smug as a bug on a rug. His eyes meet mine and fill me with dread. Close up of me, my leg refusing to stay still. Let's see how things are with Peter, shall we? Wide shot of the beach. The scene is horrific. Police everywhere trying to regulate the manic crowd who, moments ago, were enjoying a picturesque afternoon on the beach. Camera zooms in on the girl wearing rollerblades lying face down in a pool of blood. Her neck snapped like a twig, her bleached blonde hair slathered in blood and tiny specks of brain. Multicam shows Peter from every angle as he tumbles out of the Hummer. The cops arrive in droves and have him surrounded. Every bullet in America is pointed at him. He's crying, phlegm and snot flowing from his ruby red nose like honey from a razor's edge. The cops are giving him orders, but he doesn't seem to notice. Instead, he's fumbling for his keys, talking gibberish. His keys slip from his fingers. The audience is biting their nails. Multicam shows me trying not to vomit. I'm holding it back as best I can. The show's almost over, I tell myself. I can make it through this. I must. And then I'm safe. Until next week, that is. Close-up of Peter reaching for his keys. And that's the last thing he'll ever do. Multicam shows Peter from every possible angle, as a banquet of bullets pulverize his flesh and bone. He flounders like a bloody rag doll as his brains explode into a million pieces like ravioli hitting a fan. Then he falls flat on his bullet-ridden face. That's the end. of Peter McNamara. The audience rages on. Cut to me. I'm ghost white and shaken like a leaf. It looks like Peter got the wrong end of that bargain. Much applause. Cue the music. Zoom in on Damion standing over me, squeezing my shoulder, staring down at me with a deranged smile stamped across his demonic face. My leg still twitching, my stomach still in knots. Well, folks, I say, with as much bravado as I can muster. But be sure to tune in next week, and try and have yourself a good night. I look forward to seeing you again next week on... Cue the audience. Let's make a deal with the devil. You ready, Bruce? Ready as I'll ever be. Except I'm not ready. How can I be? I barely survived season 1, and the season finale was a disaster. The poor contestant was burned to a crisp. It smelled like barbecue chicken and rotten eggs. Quiet on the set. I suck in my gut. Going live in 5, 4, 3, 2... Cue the creepy music. Cut to camera 1. I get the nod. Hello out there, wherever you are. Welcome to season 2 of... Cue the audience. Let's make a deal with the devil. Cut to camera 3. I tease the audience. All right, knock it off. I check my watch. My name is Bruce Davey, and I'm terrified, happy to be here. All right, now that the formalities are over, let's bring out today's contestants, shall we? Audience applauds. Cut to camera 4. A generous woman wearing yoga pants and a loose-fitting Leonard Skinner t-shirt appears on screen. She fist pumps across the stage. I roll my eyes. Where do they find these people? Split screen. And tell us a bit about yourself, starting with who you are and where you're from. I look directly into the camera, raising an eyebrow. But please make it brief. We wouldn't want to keep the devil waiting, would we? The audience oohs and ahs. The heavily tattooed woman shakes her head. Good to be here, Bruce. I just love... She flaps her meaty arms in the air. Cue the audience. Let's make a deal with the devil. I shake my head, then immediately straighten up. Mustn't it stray from the script? Maybe, just maybe, I can save her from a gruesome fate. Cut to camera 4. Name's Bertha, Bertha Squires. Folks back home call me Big Bertha. I'm from the great state of Georgia. I like beers, barbecued ribs, and Leonard Skinner played real loud. And I love the Falcons. Let's go, Falcons. The audience cheers. All right, I say, signaling the audience to simmer down. Let's get down to business, shall we? I do believe it's time to... Cue the audience. Bring out the devil! Cue the creepy music. The lights flicker. Minty fog stretches across the studio. An illuminated pentagram flashes above the audience, much to their delight. My stomach sinks into my toes. I hate this part. Damion doesn't take part in the rehearsals. He appears only when the cameras are rolling, although, on occasion, his deep, guttural voice wafts from the producer's office, like today when I overheard them discussing the future of the show. My name wasn't mentioned. Fire flashes across the stage. Damion suddenly appears. The audience gasps. Close-up of Damion wearing his elaborate skin-tight red devil suit. His leather tail swings confidently to the delight of our viewers. Apparently, Hell Beans get 1 hour of leisure time a week, and they love this show. How they get this small-scale show in the first place is beyond me. And maybe Hell has good Wi-Fi. Damion tilts his black fedora, then extends an arm, hushing the audience.
Good evening.
The audience applauds. Damion smiles slyly, showcasing his gold-toothed display.
So, Bertha,
He exaggerates her name.
let's cut to the chase. Tell me. No, tell the viewers. What is it you most desire?
Split screen. The devil sneers. Bertha puffs out her chest. Well, Damion, I want what every American wants. The audience leans in. Mo money! The audience jumps to their feet, cheering. Cut to camera 1. I see myself in the monitors. I seem so small and insignificant. All right, I say shakily. I'm sure Damion can manage that. After all, he is the devil. The devil's grin sends chills coursing down my spine.
Excellent,
He says, fiddling his fingers.
I can certainly arrange that.
Cut to camera 4. Bertha starts fist-pumping to the audience's delight.
But first,
He sneers into the camera.
you must sign a contract. Then it's official.
He snaps his fingers. The sound ricochets across the studio like a thunderclap. Suddenly, he's holding an ancient-looking contract made of human skin. I'll be damned if the words aren't written in blood. I shudder. Damion hands her the contract. The contestant places the parchment onto the pedestal. A pool of sweat glistens from her gleaming forehead. Damion's eyes sparkle like oceans of evil. She winces as he touches her arm. The devil turns to the audience.
What you think?
His voice sounds like an ashtray.
Should Bertha be America's next billionaire?
Hell yeah! Bertha fist pumps, then raises her arms upwards. Lord, let the money rain over me. The audience agrees. I shrink into my shoes. Could this get any worse? Cut to camera 4.
Excellent.
Damion snaps his spidery fingers, and suddenly he's holding a quilted pen.
Sign here, here, and
He's making a mockery of this.
initial here.
Cautiously, Bertha takes the pen.
But read through it carefully, because
Cue the audience. The devil's in the details. Bertha's round face turns scarlet. Her beady eyes show a mixture of terror and greed. Split screen. The devil licks his lips. The audience holds its breath. The contract trembles in the contestant's hands. Yawning, Damion taps his Rolex, then gives the camera his $1 million grin.
hurry it up, would you? We're on live television.
The audience chants, Sign it, sign it, sign it. Close up with the contestant leaning over, about to sign.
Uh-huh.
Damion snaps his fingers and a bottle of ink appears. The contestant dips the pen into the jar of red ink. The audience rises to its feet. The contestant signs the contract. Cut to camera 1. My game show host's smile is stapled to my face.
Well done, Bertha. You've just made a deal with the devil.
The audience goes ballistic. The camera pans out. Grinning grotesquely, Damion flies above the audience, whose necks are stretched like cranes. Close-up of the devil.
I, the one known as Lucifer, the truly wicked one, proclaims,
His arms stretch across the entire studio.
let it rain cold, hard cash.
The audience is delirious. Thunder crashes. Shots ring out. Everyone screams, including me. This wasn't part of the script. But then again, when does Damion follow the script? The devil snaps his finger. The studio dissolves into dust. And suddenly, instead of being inside a cheap Hollywood studio, we're packed inside a football stadium. The smell of stale beer and popcorn prevails. I stumble as my heart threatens to explode. I clutch my chest, fearing the worst. My face turns red, then green, then settles on a pale white. Damion gives me his do-as-I-say look, then points up. Looking up, my stomach fills with dread. A lone greenback cascades from the sky, landing on the contestant's head. She snatches it and stuffs it between her breasts. More money falls, and within seconds, the studio fills with cash. Bertha gets down to business. Damion flies across the stadium singing,
"Let it rain, let it rain, let it rain."
His dreadful voice comes through the stadium speakers. And pandemonium ensues. Cut to overhead camera. Like a plague of locusts, money plummets into the stadium. The sky darkens. The audience is on their feet, seizing the cash. Kicking and clawing, biting and scratching, they line their pockets. The devil snaps his finger. Almost immediately, the downpour turns torrential. A never-ending flow of cash is dropped into the stadium. The air becomes difficult to breathe, and people panic. And cut to camera 2. My game show host's smile is slipping. With all my might, I finally speak. I've heard of it raining cats and dogs, but this is ridiculous. Meanwhile, my legs are trapped under 3 feet of cash. I'm losing my equilibrium. Damion hovers over the contestant, who's waist-deep in cash, and offers her money bags.
"Fill 'em up,"
he shouts. Bertha snatches the money bags and starts filling them. Audience members, the lucky ones seated at the top, are chanting, "Fill them up, fill them up." Contestant appears on the jumbo screen. She's desperate, unable to keep up with the rising tides. The storm shows no sign of letting up, and she's getting the worst of it. Cut to the overhead camera. The storm turns into an avalanche. The entire front row is crushed. Their screams are inaudible over the madness. They disappear. To my left, a middle-aged man is choking on an Andrew Jackson. His arms and legs are buried. I watch him get trampled as a crowd of money grabbers knock him aside. Damion's eyes are dancing as he removes his fedora and fills it with cash. Bertha is up to her breasts in cash, her big body buried under a mountain of green. Her eyes meet mine. "Bruce, make it stop. No more money, please." Her words scatter like paper in the breeze. I shrug. Looks like Bertha got a bad deal. I'm surprised at how calm I sound. In truth, I'm petrified. She's not the only one being buried alive. One wrong move and I'm a goner. Damion soars across the stadium. The scoreboard lights up. Bertha's name flashes across the screen. Apparently, she's up by 7. Cut to camera 3. Bertha is choking on cash, tears leaking from her frantic eyes. Split screen. The devil, delighted in her discomfort, applauds.
"Oh, you're rich, Bertha."
His laughter fills the stadium, plus millions of homes in hell with dread. Bertha cusses. Damion waves her finger, giving her a no-no gesture. The audience is in a frenzy. A family of 4 are holding hands, saying prayers. They're drowning. Quickly, the children disappear. The mother shrieks. The father frantically cries, "Someone do something!" The devil zooms across the field and lands next to them. Cut to camera 5.
"Here to help,"
he says. Then he flicks his finger and punts the parents across the field for a pair of field goals. 6 points, I proclaim. Under siege, the stadium succumbs to chaos. On the jumbo screen, a teenager with earbuds dangling from his skinny neck is trying to escape. "The doors are locked!" Someone shoves him aside. He goes sprawling down a flight of stairs face first. He lands with a thud. A blonde woman wearing golden earrings steps on his back, while her partner scratches the teen's wallet. As they turn away, an avalanche buries them alive. Cut to camera 4. The contestant is trying to speak, but her mouth is stuffed with cash. She's choking. Her eyes pop as a realization hits her. She's going to die. Close-up of contestant. Her eyes disappear. Only her head remains. Then, she's gone. Cut to camera 1. I point and shrug. Bertha forgot to read the fine print. I hate the sound of my voice. Overhead camera. Damion races towards me, his pitchforked tail blowing in the breeze. As he approaches, a haggard-looking man waist-deep in money swipes his ankle. Damion hoofs him into the end zone. It's good, I say automatically, surprising myself. The home team leads by 2. Split screen. The audience is frantic. Audience members are jumping over railings trying to escape. The entire field is buried. Money falls like furious snow. I wiggle my toes to make sure they still work. I straighten up. There's no sign of Bertha. She's buried. A brick of bills smashes the side of my face. I wince. Soon I'll be buried like Bertha. I hope my mother isn't watching. Damion grins menacingly at the camera.
Yes, she most certainly did.
He's playing with his tail. Audience members are trying to free themselves. Their efforts are in vain. The cameras mounted on drones capture everything. Close-up of the devil. Damion regards me pitifully, then turns to the camera and winks.
Bruce?
The delight in his voice sickens me.
You're drowning.
I am. I really am. Damion zooms over, lands on my head. Perched like a bird, he snaps his fingers. The sound is like a sonic boom, and suddenly we're back in the studio. So is the audience. The lucky ones, that is, who've managed to stay alive.
Now, what's this I hear of you wanting a salary increase?
I gulp. This is news to me. Cut to camera 1. My bald forehead gleams across the screen like a greasy burger. The audience nervously laughs. Damion snaps his fingers. Another contract appears. He hands it to me. My hands wobble as I give it a glance. Now, that's what I call a raise. I say this involuntarily. Damion is lurking over me, hatred fuming from his unholy pores. When he touches my shoulder, I jump. Smoke fills the studio. Cut to camera 3. The devil snickers into the camera.
What you think? Should Bruce sign?
The audience cheers. Damion hands me his pen, which is surprisingly heavy. His cold, calculated eyes never leave mine. Cut to camera 1. Looking nervously at the audience, I raise my arms in a V. Should I sign? The audience chants. Sign it, sign it, sign it. My eyes catch the dollar amount carved onto the paper. It's a lucrative deal. In fact, I'd say it's too good to be true. The problem is, I'm too scared to read the fine print, although the rational part of my mind is screaming at me to do so. All the while, my pounding heart threatens to explode. Making a deal with the devil is the furthest thing from my mind.
Go on,
says the devil.
What you're afraid of?
Sign it, sign it, sign it. I wipe my forehead. Geez, talk about pressure. The devil folds his arms. Reluctantly, I sign. The crowd roars its approval. Well, there you have it, folks. It looks like Bertha got more than she bargained for, and apparently I did too. Cue the creepy music. I hope you had as much fun as we did, and I look forward to seeing you on the next edition of... Cue the audience. Let's make a deal with the devil. You look worried, Bruce, my producer jokes, moments before going live. Even for you. This gets a chuckle from the crew. Quiet on the set. I'm already shaking in my shoes. Not a good sign. Working for the devil is extremely stressful and dangerous, and certainly not for the faint of heart. Why I took this gig is beyond me. Cue the creepy music. Going live in 5, 4, 3. I get the nod. Cut to camera 1. Greetings, Hell Beans and Hellraisers. Welcome to the Season 2 finale of... Cue the audience. Let's make a deal with the devil. I wave my arms in the air. The audience jumps to their feet. Someone heckles. All right, knock it off. I serve up my best game show host grin. It looks as fake as this cheap Hollywood studio. As you probably know, my name is Bruce Davey, and I'm the host of... Cue the audience. Let's make a deal with the devil. There's a disturbance in the audience. A crew member forcefully removes someone. The commotion settles, and I get the go-ahead. Whew, a feisty crowd tonight. My painted-on smile takes up the entire screen. So does my gleaming bald head. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's the devil got in store for us this evening? The audience rumbles. I shrug. Honestly, I wish I knew. This is true. But I'm sure it has something to do with me spending an eternity in hell. It's right there in my contract, which runs out after this episode. Cut to camera 2. So, without further ado, let's bring out tonight's contestants, shall we? The audience roars. And yes, you heard me correctly. Tonight, for the first time ever in this show's defamatory history, we've got 2 contestants. Audience is on their feet, whooping and hollering. Cut to camera 3. Cue the music. A middle-aged couple walks towards the podium. They're dressed like cowboys and walk with a sense of purpose. Split screen. Welcome, both of you. More like, welcome to your funeral. Tell us a wee bit about yourselves, why don't you? Cut to camera 4. The woman speaks first. Her hair is amber, her complexion as pale as light beer. Well, Bruce, my name is Tammy. I'm a stay-at-home mom. This here's my partner, Tex. He owns his own gun shop. We live here in Austin, Texas, with 3 beautiful kids who are with us here tonight. She points. Cut to overhead camera. 2 tall boys and a young girl, each dressed head to toe in denim, stand and bow. The audience applauds. Split screen. The other contestant approaches a microphone. He's as tall as an ivory tower with a voice like a banjo. Howdy, Bruce. Good to be here. He tilts his cowboy hat. His square jaw and rugged good looks give Chuck Norris a run for his money. I salute them. Cut to camera 2. Well then, now that we're finished with the formalities, I do believe it's time to... Cue the audience. Bring out the devil! Cue the creepy music. Cue the pyrotechnics. The stage fills with fire and brimstone. Pentagrams slice through the air. The devil appears suddenly, dressed in a shiny new devil suit, tailored specifically for tonight's show. It's jet black, and leaves little to the imagination. His pitchforked tail follows closely behind him as he approaches the podium. Cut to camera 5. The devil wraps his arms around the 2 contestants, kisses them both on the cheek. Tex, clearly perturbed, winces, then grudgingly wipes his cheek. The devil snarls, then looks him up and down.
Looks like everything isn't bigger in Texas.
The devil teases. and suddenly he's grown over 8 feet tall and is looming over the tall Texan. Cut to camera 3. The bright lights and furious makeup make me look like a cartoon. What an exciting night this promises to be. Tammy steps forward. You bet it is, Bruce. We've watched every episode. We just love Let's Make a Deal with the Devil.
Of course.
Damion boasts.
This is Hell's most popular show, and for a good reason.
He slaps the woman's backside with his tail, then raises his eyebrows mockingly. The cowboy puffs out his chest, fists clenched, daring him to touch his wife again.
Whoa, easy there, partner.
Damion nudges Tex. Tammy is flushed. Don't mind Tex, he's the jealous kind.
Oh, really?
Damien's tail is now shaped like a lasso. With it, he snags Tammy and pulls her close. Her face turns tomato red. The cowboy grunts, pulling the tail off in one strong swoop. The audience boos. The devil snickers. I feel sick. If this is to be my last episode, or a final day on Earth, I don't want it spoiled by this denim-clad dude whose hat is bigger than his brains, or by Damion, who seems extra feisty tonight, even for him. Cut to camera 1. I clear my throat. Tell us, Tammy and Tex. No, tell all of hell. What is your beating heart's desire? The audience is on the edge of their seats. The Texans exchange doubtful looks. The wife takes charge. Well, Bruce, we don't want anything that might get us killed. Being from Dallas, we were raised with some common sense. The audience hisses. The husband steps up. That's right, Bruce. Simply put, we want to be famous for a day. That's it. Then we can write a book and live off the royalties. The audience erupts into a frenzy of catcalls. Cut to camera 3. The devil's eyebrows touch the top of his head. His voice slithers like a snake.
Is that so?
My heart plummets. These Texans are flirting with disaster. If they'd stuck to the script, they might be safe. They were supposed to ask for a lifetime's supply of Super Bowl tickets. Easy peasy. Who do these cowpokes think they are? Do they really think they can outsmart the devil? Well then, I say shakily. I'm sure Damion can arrange that. I raise my arms. What does the audience think? The audience goes ballistic. The devil, still towering over the Texans, leans into the camera.
Famous.
He smacks his lips against his face. When he touches the guy's shoulder, the cowboy swipes his arm away. The audience boos. Someone tosses an egg onto the podium, narrowly missing the contestants. Whoa, easy does it, I spurt out. All hell breaks loose. Cut to overhead camera. The crew gets busy, disposing of both the egg and the agitator. I wipe my sweaty forehead. A tough crowd. The audience hoots. The devil sneers.
Silence.
Flames flash across the room, and people shriek, including me. Close up of Damion. The devil, boasting his gambler's grin, turns to the contestants.
Yes, yes, you will be famous, but just for one day.
The audience roars their approval. I shudder. Never in all my years have I felt so much animosity from an audience. I'll be lucky to make it out alive. Sounds like the devil has a plan. I try to sound cheerful, but cheerfulness is the opposite of how I feel. Cut to camera 1. Tell us, Damion, and all of hell, what you've got cooked up. The audience leans in. The devil winks at Tammy.
Well, I do believe it's time for those two cowpokes to become famous. Am I correct?
The audience jumps to their feet, chanting, Famous, famous, famous. Tammy looks pleased. Her partner, on the other hand, is showing concern. His shoulders are tense. He's swallowed his bottom lip. Damion dazzles the audience.
Famous y'all shall be.
He snaps his fingers. Bam! The studio goes dark. Someone in the audience screams. Tammy gasps. Tex grunts. Cut to camera 1. I shrug. Is this Damion's latest trick? Or did they finally cut the power? We give the impression that this show is hugely popular, but in truth, outside of hell, this show is a dud. Cable and internet companies avoid us like the plague. Cut to overhead camera. The contestants vanish under a cloud of fog. Well, isn't that just dandy? The devil points to the large screen behind the audience. Mr. and Mrs. Cowpoke are about to jump the falls. Damion snaps his fingers. Then he disappears. My legs go weak. My heart is beating irregularly again. I still don't know how he does it, how any of this works. And suddenly I'm alone on stage shaking in my fine Italian boots, while the audience grows rowdier by the second. Cameras mounted on drones are pointed at Tammy and Tex, who are trapped inside a large steel barrel with Niagara Falls looming below them. Damion flies across the falls, lands next to Tammy and Tex, and he taps the barrel.
Ain't she a beauty?
The audience hurrahs. The barrel is unlike anything I've ever seen. Although it's huge and probably weighs a ton, it barely contains the 2 Texans, who are kicking and screaming and cursing up a storm. Get me the hell out of here! And Tammy's voice rips through the noise of the falls. Now! Damion frowns.
You wanted to be famous. Am I right?
The audience chants, famous, famous, famous. And Tex pokes his head out of the barrel, cowboy hat and all. Now wait 1 minute, Damion. That's unfair. We wanted fame, not death. The devil chuckles.
These 2 are synonymous. Am I right?
The audience agrees. Damion checks his watch.
Well then.
He slams the lid shut. That's the end of the Texans, as far as I'm concerned. Close-up of Damion.
What you think? Should they jump the falls?
The audience shouts, jump, jump, jump. And cut to camera 2. My insides are melting. I'm petrified. You'd think working with the devil would get easier over time, and you'd be dead wrong. Looks like the people have spoken, I hear myself say. The audience continues their chant. Cut to overhead camera.
Excellent,
Damion says, fiddling his fingers. He looks over the cliff and makes a sour face.
Wowzers, that's a long way down.
Jump, jump, jump. And cut to camera 1. My worried, sick face appears on the screen. I straighten up.
Once they jump, Tam and Tex will surely be famous.
Except, of course, they won't be famous. Not in this world, anyways. They've been duped. Why these people sign up to die is beyond me. Perhaps we've reached a spectacular level of stupidity in human evolution. Cut to the overhead camera. Damion's lips stretch across his reddened face. His arms flex like a weightlifter.
I'll give them a helping hand.
He rolls the giant barrel over to the very edge of the cliff, ignoring the banging and hollering coming from within the steel coffin.
Tammy, Tex.
His lips stretch into a snarl.
Prepare for fame.
The audience is on their feet. Damion shoves the barrel over the edge. Split screen. The barrel tumbles down the falls, disappearing into the fast-moving water. The audience holds its breath. Cut to the spy camera. Inside the barrel, the Texans are shrieking. Their heads and arms and legs collide. Chunks of puke pour across Tammy's sickening face, who's calling Tex every name in the book, and it's a big book. Meanwhile, Tex is like a frog in a blender. His face is green, his nose is broken, and blood is leaking from every orifice. There's a loud crash as the barrel plunders underwater. Cut to the overhead camera. The barrel resurfaces, traveling dangerously downstream. The audience is back on their feet, fist pumping. What troubles me is how the pedestrians and tourists crowding the streets remain oblivious. To them, this is nothing out of the ordinary. Nobody watches or even takes a pic. I'm starting to suspect foul play. Somehow, Damion is controlling this. He's using dark magic, a spell. Maybe none of this is real. Except, of course, it is real. Cut to camera 1. I'm trembling. What a jump! My voice ricochets off the studio walls. They'll be famous in no time. The audience chants, famous, famous, famous. Close-up of the devil.
Yes, an excellent jump, I must say.
He peeks over the edge.
Looks like they can use some help.
Cut to the overhead camera. Damion flies towards the barrel, which is bouncing off rocks and debris. Back to the spy camera. Blood. So much blood in such a tight space. And Tammy's hair is in disarray. Her face is beyond repair. And Tex swallowed his hat. One of his eyeballs is bouncing like a super ball. His left arm is flapping nonsensically. It isn't even attached. Cut to camera 4. The devil scoops up the barrel, then flies to shore. When his feet touch the ground, he shakes off the water cat-like, then glares at the camera. What a jump! He cranks open the lid. The split screen. And Tammy spills out. So does Tex's left arm. The audience gasps. Damion applauds.
Such valor and swagger.
Cut to camera 5. Tammy is flopping fish-like, barely clinging to life. Her mouth is full of blood and brains. The devil puts his foot on her head.
Say cheese.
From out of nowhere, a photographer appears. Snap. Damion, looking pleased with himself, is suddenly holding a newspaper. Close-up of the newspaper. The headline splashes across the screen. Idiots jump the falls. Cut to camera 4. Damion shoves the newspaper in front of her face.
Looks like Tammy and Tex are famous.
And Tammy's eyes twitch. Clearly, she's in need of medical assistance. I'm surprised she's still alive. Her husband's brains are splattered across the inside of the barrel. The very sight of this makes me gag. And Tammy tries to speak, but fails. Her eyes are filled with rage. Damion tosses the leftover arm into the water, then shrugs.
Sorry about your hubby.
Cut to camera 2. With wobbly knees, I face the audience. It looks like the barrel got the best of Tex. The audience bellows. I continue to talk involuntarily. Gosh, Dolly, look at all that blood. More blood, more blood, more blood. I find myself chanting along with the audience. Suddenly, my vision blurs. I clutch at my chest. Maybe I'll suffer a heart attack on live TV. The hell waits for no one, I suppose. And cut to camera 4. Tammy spits blood on Damien's boot. Devil be damned, I blurt. Damien's face twists into a ball of fury.
Now, Tammy. That wasn't very nice.
He crushes her fingers with his boots. And Tammy yelps.
I was going to save your long-limbed partner over there. Not anymore.
The audience is bloodthirsty, and paper airplanes and rotten eggs whiz past me. I duck just in time. Close-up of contestant. Tammy's tongue is leaking from her bloodied face. She's missing her front teeth. Damion digs his spiky heel deep into her blood-soaked abdomen.
I reckon you'll need medical assistance.
He snaps his fingers. Suddenly, they're back in the studio. Damion is happy as a filthy pig. Next to him is Tammy, who's caked in blood and gore. Her corpse of a husband spilled from the gigantic steel barrel, taking center stage. Cut to the overhead camera. The contestants' children rush the stage. They're delirious. The crew hurry out and drag them aside, along with Tammy, who's rushed to the hospital where she will certainly die. Now, that's what I call a speedy service. My voice appalls me. So does this job. If only I'd listened to my mother and got into politics. Damion snaps his finger, then disappears under a plume of dusty smoke. Cut to camera 1. Well, there you have it, folks. That's the last you'll see of Tammy and Tex. But fret not. They had their moment of fame. In hell. The audience is tossing trash onto the stage. I narrowly dodge a projectile. Hope you've enjoyed Season 2 as much as I did. I hated it. And unless the devil strikes me down, and he very well might, I hope to see you this fall for Season 3 of... Cue the audience. Let's make a deal with the devil. Hey everybody, Kevin here from Nightmares Nightly. If you made it this far, I want to thank you all for listening. I also want to take a minute to let everybody know that I'm going to be setting up a YouTube membership page soon that I hope to bring videos to every week. If you'd like to support me and the channel, please consider signing up for that, or my Patreon page, where I'll soon be uploading content as well. I'd like to give a huge shout out to my current patrons, Ashley, Mars, Amy, and Zarin Ray, for supporting me in what I do. And as always, thanks for listening, everybody.